Good morning, grade 8s. Welcome back this morning. We're going to do the accounting equation today, but I see a few people already chatting in the box, so let's just say morning to each other. Right, we're going to start now. Like I said, we're going to do the accounting equation today. It's actually part of terms 2 work. So some of you already have done it, maybe some of you not, but it doesn't matter. If you have done it, then it's only going to be very good to do the revision of it, because this is sometimes not so easy, and it is very important that you understand this, because the accounting equation is something that you're going to take from grade 8 right through if you take accounting out of grade 12 as well. Right, first of all, you need to know what is the accounting equation. And then I've put it there for you. It is assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. And you see the abbreviations that I'm going to use. A for assets, OE for owner's equity, and yes, and liabilities is just supposed to be an L. What is important is you need to know and understand by now what is assets, what is owner's equity, and what is liability. So what accounts is going to fall under each one. So there are quite a few, but I have just mentioned a few there. So under assets, you will see we've got land and buildings that you know so far. We've got vehicles, equipment, the bank account of the business, trading stock, and so on. With owner's equity, and I want you guys to please take note now for the following. Owner's equity is capital, all your income accounts, that means like rent income, commission income, your services accounts, and then all your expense accounts, and expenses are like telephone, water and electricity, advertisement, packaging material, etc., and also drawings. And then with liabilities, we have so far your creditors and loans. Okay, you don't really do a lot about liabilities in grade 8, only in grade 9, but please know the accounting equation and know under liabilities, it will be your creditors and your loans. So if you have a piece of paper ready there, please quickly just copy this page for me, because I want you guys, when we're going to continue, I'm also going to move backwards, but as we continue, I want you to take your eye the whole time actually on this page. So where it is going to be the assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities, and then just quickly what is going to fall under each one, especially right those ones that is going to fall under owner's equity, capital, income, expenses, and drawings. So I will just give you a minute or two so you can quickly copy that, so you can see that in front of you the whole time before we're going to continue. Right, before I go on, what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you with each slideshow, I'm going to give you an example of a transaction, and then we're going to take that transaction and how we are going to write it in as the accounting equation. Right, let's start. There's your first transaction. It is saying purchase a vehicle per check 100,000. So what two things is important here? You need to know what is the transaction all about. It's about purchase a vehicle, and then you need the amount every time. That is going to be 100,000. Okay, then you see I've put some columns there for you. There are basically two columns for assets, two columns for owner's equity, and two columns for liabilities. Right? Then, regarding the two columns, in the first column of each one, you're going to write every time the amount in, and then you will see there is going to be either a plus or a minus in front of each. Okay, that will be different from transaction to transaction. And then with the second column, you need to give a description of that amount with the plus and the minus sign, what basically has happened. Okay. Now, I always say, especially with the accounting equation, try to get a picture in your head of what is happening. All right. So I will always say, okay, I'm purchasing a vehicle. See for yourself the vehicle. There's the vehicle. The vehicle's coming in there with the door. All right. So what is happening with vehicles in your business? Vehicles is becoming more. It's becoming more, a plus. Okay. And what is vehicles? And that is why I want you guys to have that paper in front of you. And I just going to go back now. Vehicles is falling under assets. So we've already said vehicles is going to increase, therefore a plus. And remember, vehicles is falling under assets. So under assets, we're going to say plus 100,000 Rand. Why? Because your vehicles is increasing. Now, remember, there's always the double entry principle. So what is going to be the other account that is going to be involved? And that is going to be bank. Why? Because you need to pay for that vehicle. Okay? So if you pay something out of the business bank account, then bank is decreasing, a minus. And now you need to understand what is bank. Is bank an asset, an owner's equity of liability? Of course, bank is an asset. I'm going back so you can just check in your list as well. So you can see bank is falling under assets. And we said we're going to pay the vehicle, therefore also minus 100,000 with assets because bank is decreasing. Right. So let's take this one again. First of all, you will see all the entries now is only with assets. Nothing with owner's equity, nothing with liabilities. Right? What was the transaction all about? It was about a vehicle that you purchased for 100,000. If you purchase a vehicle, then it means your vehicles is becoming more. Vehicles is an assets. So plus 100,000 with assets because your vehicles is increasing. But you need to pay for that vehicle. So what is going to happen with the business bank account? Bank account is going to decrease, therefore minus 100,000, and bank is also an asset. And so you put it under assets and you say bank is decreasing. Right, next example. Pay for advertisement. Sorry, spelling mistake there. Pay for advertisements per check 1,000 Rand. Okay, let's first talk about what is it the transaction all about. It's about an advertisement that you're going to pay the amount 1,000 Rand. Right. I normally say it's actually understand what you need to do with the other account. So right, if we pay something, what is happening with the business? Is an asset. So under assets, you're going to say minus 1,000 rand because bank is decreasing. Advertisement, okay? Advertisement is an expense. Let's just quickly go back, right? So check with, right? So let's go back. So remember, expenses is falling under owner's equity. An expense. You don't have to write a whole long sentence there. You just write what is the expense, advertisement, and basically you can say look there again with assets. What did you see with assets? It was minus 1,000 rand. Minus. Now, if you don't know what to do with owner's equity, listen now. What you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. Okay, so remember the previous one, okay, was about like vehicles or equipment or land and buildings that you will purchase. So everything is going to be with assets. Then this example that we've done now about the advertisement is an example of an expense. And now we're going to move on to the next example, and that will be one of an income. Right, so what is the transaction saying there? Received 2,500 rand from clients for services rendered. So the amount is 2,500 and it's for services rendered. Services rendered means you received money, so it's going to be an income. Right, let's start. If you receive money, okay, what is happening with your bank account? Can you hear, guys? Every time I'm starting with bank. Right, so what's happening with your bank account? You receive money, so bank is going to increase. Okay, so it's a plus. We already said bank is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be plus 2,500 rand. Why? Because your bank is increasing. Then you need to know services rendered is an income. Now, where does your income is going to be involved? And I'm quickly going back. You can check on your piece of paper as well. Okay, look there under owner's equity. So income is falling under owner's equity, right? Income is falling under owner's equity. So getting back, so under owner's equity is going to be plus 2,500 rand. Why? It was for services rendered, and you say services rendered is an income. Same story like on the previous one. What you do with assets, so there was a plus of assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So therefore, it's also a plus with owner's equity. All right. So this one was an example of an income. You get the money in, the business bank account is increasing. So with assets, it's going to be a plus. And what you do with assets, you do with owner's equity. Services rendered is an income. It's falling under owner's equity. So that is also going to increase your owner's equity. Right. There's another example. The owner invested capital of 50,000 rand. So what is the transaction all about? It is about capital, 50,000 rand. Okay. Now, if the owner invests something, it means the business bank account is increasing. We already said bank is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be plus 50,000 rand. Why? Because your bank is increasing. Now you need to know, where is capital going to fall? And let me quickly go back to that slideshow. Look there under owner's equity. So capital is falling under owner's equity. All right? And so we know it's going to be under owner's equity. Same story, what you do with assets. So if there's a plus with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So that means a plus with owner's equity. You say for what it is for capital. So can you see, guys, why that first page that you have copied now is so important that you need to know it out of your head? Because if you look on that page the whole time, then you're going to know, okay, bank is an asset. Capital is falling under owner's equity. If it's an expense, it will fall under owner's equity. So that is like a little Bible you need to keep with you. Right. Before I'm going to give you an activity to do now, okay, let's just recap quickly on what we have regarding the accounting equation. So first of all, what is the accounting equation? Assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. You need to know what is assets, you need to know your owner's equity, and you need to know your liabilities. Right, under owner's equity, I especially want to go through that one. Remember, capital, drawings, all your income, all your expense accounts will fall under owner's equity. Right, then we have looked at a few examples. The first one was about either it can be a vehicle or equipment or land and buildings that you've purchased. Then it means you need, if you purchase something, then it's getting more. So that vehicle, for instance, was getting more. Vehicles is an asset. With assets, you're going to plus the amount, and you're going to say because vehicles is increasing or equipment is increasing. And then you need to pay for that vehicle. So with assets, it's also going to be minus 100,000 rand because you need to pay for it. Your bank is going to decrease, and bank is also an asset. Right. Then the next example was of an expense where you have paid the advertisement 1,000 rand. If you pay something, then it means your bank account is decreasing. Bank is an asset, therefore a minus. And then you need to know advertisement is an expense. Expenses is falling under owner's equity. And what you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So if there's a minus with assets, then it's going to be a minus with owner's equity. And then you say, right, it was for advertisement and it's an expense. So let's say it was for paying the telephone bill, then you will still have the minus and the amount with assets. And then because the bank is decreasing, and then you also have minus and the amount with owner's equity, but then you just say it is the telephone that is going to be an expense. The next one was an example of an income. So received 2,500 rand from clients for services rendered. You receive money, bank is increasing, bank is an asset. So therefore with assets plus 2,500 rand because of the bank account that is increasing. And then you need to know services rendered is an income. Income is falling under owner's equity. And remember, what you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So if there's a plus with assets, then it's going to be a plus with owner's equity. You say, what is the transaction all about? It's about services rendered, and you say it's an income. I haven't done a liability one here, but let's say you should have written in something with the liabilities, and you need to know again, will it be a plus or a minus before the amount? Okay, it works exactly the same like your owner's equity. So let's say you were supposed to write, let's say 1,000 rand in with liabilities. Then if you look at this example in front of you, then it will be plus 1,000 rand with liabilities, because the same story, what you do with assets, you're going to do with liabilities. So if there's a plus with assets, then there will be a plus with liabilities. If there's a minus with assets, then it will be a minus with liabilities. Right, and then another example was the capital transaction that the owner invested, the 50,000. So that means your bank account is going to increase with the 50,000. Bank is an asset. And then you need to know capital. Where is capital going to be? Under owner's equity. Same story. What you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So if it's a plus with assets, then it's a plus with owner's equity. And you say, for what is it? It is for capital. Right. So I hope you have all copied that first page now. All right. And then you can use that page to do the next few examples activity. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. So there are 2, 4, 5 transactions. Let's just go through the transactions. So the first one is the owner invested 20,000 as capital. Service fees received of 5,000. Pay the telephone account 2,000. Purchase equipment of 20,000. And the owner withdraw 10,000 rand. So there's your transactions. Take each of those transactions, quickly draw on a piece of paper for yourself the columns. Okay, so you're going to have columns for assets, owners, equity, liabilities. Let me just go back to the previous one so you can see the columns, right, like that. Assets, owners, equity, liabilities. And under that, under each one, you have 2 columns. Basically, the one is for the amount, and the other one is going to be for the reason that you're going to write there. Right, got it? So there is going to be your activity. I'm going to give you about, let's say, 8 to 10 minutes to do it, and then we're going to mark this activity. Remember, if you have questions, to put it in the chat box. Please, guys, if you're done, just indicate it in the box done for me so I can see how far you are. Right, so we're going to start to mark it now. Okay, so please look, you will see the answers is going to be on the next slideshow. So I'm just going to jump between these two ones to get the transactions and the entries. So if we look at the first one, it is saying the owner invested 20,000 as capital. So right, remember two things you need to check. It's about capital and need to get the amount 20,000 Rand. Okay, if we look at the entry, there you have it, right? The first line there, Remember, when the owner is vested money, then it means the business bank account is increasing. So plus, bank is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be plus 20,000 because the bank is increasing. And then you need to know what is capital, right? Capital is falling under owner's equity. And then remember what you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So if it's a plus with assets, then it's going to be a plus with owner's equity, 20,000, and you say it is for capital. All right. The next transaction, service fees received are 5,000 Rand. So it's about service fees, and you need to know service fees is an income, and the amount is 5,000 Rand. So there's the entry. If you receive money, then the bank account is increasing. Bank is an asset, so with assets plus 5,000 Rand because bank is increasing. And then service fees or services rendered, that is the same thing. You need to know it's an income. Income is falling under owner's equity. What you do with assets, so there's a plus with assets, you're going to have a plus with owner's equity. So owner's equity plus 5,000 Rand. Why? It was for services rendered or service fees, and it is an income. Okay, if we look at the next transaction, pay the telephone account 2,000 Rand. So it's about the telephone that we're going to pay. The amount is 2,000 Rand. All right, so let's see how we're going to enter it. Oops, sorry. So there you go. If you pay something, then your bank is going to decrease. Bank is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be minus 2,000 Rand because your bank is decreasing. And then you need to know telephone is an expense. Expense is falling under owner's equity. What you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So there was a minus with assets, then there's going to be a minus with owner's equity. So owner's equity minus 2,000 Rand. Why? Because the telephone account is an expense. I will stick now a second or two when we're done on the slideshow if you want to finish marking. I just want to go through all the transactions. So the next one is purchase equipment of 20,000 Rand. So it's about equipment that we've purchased. The amount 20,000. Okay. Equipment, you've purchased it. So your equipment is becoming more plus. Equipment is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be plus 20,000 because your equipment is increasing. But you need to pay for that equipment. So what is happening with the business bank account? That will decrease. So minus 20,000 Rand, bank is decreasing. Bank is also an asset. And then the last one there, the owner withdraw 10,000 Rand. Okay, when you withdraw something, the owner, then it's going to be drawings. The amount is 10,000 Rand. Right. If the owner withdraw money from the business bank account, so what is happening with the business bank account? It is decreasing. Okay, that means a bank is an asset. So with assets, it's going to be minus 10,000 Rand because the bank is decreasing. And then you need to know what is drawing. So look on your piece of paper that you have in front of you. Check under owner's equity, then you will see drawings is falling under owner's equity. Remember the little story, what you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So there was a minus with assets, then there's going to be a minus with owner's equity. So it's minus 10,000 Rand. And you say, for what is it? It is for drawings. Right, so I'm going to stick for a few seconds quickly on this page that you can just finish marking your activity. I just want to repeat the last one that is about the drawings because we didn't do an example on that one. Right, so about the owner withdraw 10,000 Rand. So it's a drawings transaction. If the owner withdraw money, then it means the bank account is decreasing. Bank is an asset, so therefore a minus with assets because of the bank that is decreasing. And then drawings, check your list, then you'll see drawings is falling under owner's equity. Remember what you do with assets, you're going to do with owner's equity. So there was a minus with assets, so there's going to be a minus with owner's equity. And then you just say, for what was the transaction all about? And it was for drawings. So right, people finish marking, and then I will look in the box. If there's any questions about the accounting equation, please, you need to ask now. Can one or two people just indicate also for me how you have done on this activity? Was it a train smash or did you do actually well in it? Just give me an indication, please, man. Thank you. There's one person indicating I did well. The city is saying average. Okay, doesn't matter. Tomorrow we're still going to continue with this. We're going to practice more on it. As I said, this is very important work as well. And then we will see how it is going to be then. Okay. Right, people, then that's it for today. Okay. So then I guys is going to see you tomorrow again when we're going to continue. In the meantime, I keep it a little bit sweet and short. Why? Because I want you guys to need some time as well to prepare for the informal assessments of next week. So I'm just reminding you about that. And tomorrow I will also give you a little bit more information about that as well. All right. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day.